Hello friends! The range of engines is quite uncomplicated. Those who need something simpler can safely choose between petrol engines with a displacement of 1.4 liters, 85 horsepower, and 1.6 liters, 105 horsepower. Both motors are quite reliable. Among diesels, the 1.6 TDI, 75 horsepower, 90 horsepower, and 105 horsepower, which appeared in the range in March 2010, should not let you down. The common rail power system replaced the more vulnerable unit injectors, which often cause problems, up to the failure of the cylinder head. 1.2 HTP. The 3-cylinder 1.2 HTP met the Euro 4 standard until 2010, and existed in two versions, a 6-valve with one camshaft and a 12-valve with two shafts. The first was marked BBM and developed 60 horsepower, and the second, BZG, with 70 horsepower. 3-cylinder engines are familiar to the owners of the Fabia Mk1, where they have earned not the best fame. Several issues prior to the launch of the second-generation model have been fixed. For example, high oil consumption due to a catalyst located too close to the engine block. The Skoda Fabia 2 has additional protection in the form of a shield made of heat-resistant steel. Another problem is related to the EGR exhaust gas recirculation system. It clogged, causing the engine malfunction indicator to light up, dynamics to drop, and fuel consumption to increase. The culprit was the Siemens SIMOS 3 engine control unit. The second generation of Skoda Fabia uses a more advanced SIMOS 9.1 system, and the disease no longer occurs. It was not possible to cope only with the loss of compression in one of the cylinders. This is the result of small particles of the collapsed catalyst core entering the cylinders at the moment of rapid closing of the throttle valve, which causes a sharp change in pressure. The catalytic converter crumbles due to low-quality gasoline. The sawdust damages valve guides, piston rings, and sometimes cylinders. As a result, oil consumption increases. The problem affects mainly 6-valve versions 1.2. Regular operation at high speeds, over 3,500 RPM, leads to overheating of the oil and, as a result, blocking of the hydraulic valve lifters. As a result, valve seats burn and compression drops. This problem is again more common with the 6-valve version 1.2 HTP BBM in cars that often travel on expressways. With the advent of the Euro 5 standard in 2010, significantly upgraded 1.2 HTP engines got under the hood. All versions of the new engine received a DOHC gas distribution system and 12 valves. The power remained the same, 60 and 70 horsepower. The weaker engine was designated CGPB, while the more powerful one was designated CGPA. Compared to the old 1.2-liter, the engine management software has changed, as well as the crank mechanism, which has become lighter. A common problem with 3-cylinder 1.2s is the timing chain. It stretches relatively quickly. Some were forced to renew it after 100,000 kilometers of run, while others drove over 200,000 kilometers on the factory chain. The regulation provides for the replacement of the chain when the mileage reaches 150,000 kilometers. Stretching the chain is fraught with its jump. At best, there will be interruptions in the operation of the engine, and at worst, expensive repairs will be needed. The situation is aggravated by the timing chain tensioner, devoid of fixation. It comes into operation only when pressure appears in the lubrication system. The first seconds after starting, the chain tension is insufficient. Therefore, after turning off the engine, you must not leave the car at speed. It is also recommended to start the engine from the pusher. In addition, old oil increases the time the tensioner is put into operation. A good alternative to a 3-cylinder petrol engine would be a 1.4-liter 4-cylinder. It left the range of motors for a short period of time, from 2010 to 2011. The 1.4 has an aluminum block and head with 16 valves. The gas distribution mechanism is driven by two toothed belts. The long one connects the crankshaft and the camshaft, and the short one connects the camshafts together. The Euro 4 version received the designation BXW, and Euro 5 CGGB. Both motors are great. The engine is quiet and responds vigorously to gas. True, the motor does not have enough power at low speeds. The 02T manual gearbox partially corrects the situation. The 16-valve 1.6 BTS remained in production until 2010. It was based on the 1.6 FSI used in the Golf MK5 and the Skoda Octavia 2. The Fabia version has a different cylinder head and pistons with a different bottom shape due to distributed fuel injection. The camshaft drive remained chain. If you change the oil on time, then there are no problems with the timing chain drive. In 2010, BTS was replaced by a unit with the CFNA index. It later went to the Volkswagen Polo sedan and Skoda Rapid. Its disadvantages are piston knocking and exhaust manifold cracking. Both versions of the motor are reliable. They were the only ones combined with a 6-speed Japanese automatic Aisin 096. Since March 2010, the turbocharged 1.2 TSI has been used. It has an aluminum block, 1 camshaft, and 8 valves. Weaker version 86 horsepower was marked CBZA, and a stronger one 105 horsepower, CBZB. In addition to the manual transmission, the turbo engine could be combined with a DSG DQ200 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. This is a really strong motor, but unfortunately it often disappointed with problems with the timing chain and its tensioner. A characteristic symptom is noise after starting a cold engine. Since June of 2011, the timing drive has been modified. The changes affected the chain, both sprockets and guides with a tensioner. Initially, replacing the lower timing sprocket was a big problem. In the future, Skoda equipped the workshops with a device that allows you to remove the gear from the crankshaft directly on the car. Unfortunately, as it turned out later, even modified chains stretch. Another problem with the 1.2 TSI is related to the turbocharger. Skoda changed supplier twice. The defect was related to the control valve stepper motor, wastegate. It suffered from a high temperature and began to live his life. Fortunately, the stepper motor can be ordered separately. Skoda tried to fix the glitch with software and a 2mm backing. Improvements led to a slight decrease in performance. It is worth mentioning the cases of oil dilution with gasoline and the subsequent replacement of the high-pressure fuel pump. The most affordable among diesel units is a 3-cylinder 1.4 TDI with unit injectors. Fabia relied on versions: BMN with a power of 69 horsepower and BNV with a return of 80 horsepower. The more powerful BNV was paired with the reliable O2R 5-speed manual transmission, designed to transmit torque up to 250 Nm. The weaker BMN was equipped with a O2T manual transmission. There was another version, BMS, with a capacity of 80 horsepower. It used ceramic glow plugs and a particulate filter. This version is best avoided, as engines with unit injector injection technology have problems regenerating the particulate filter. The timing drive of the combined type is a toothed belt, plus a chain connecting the balancer shafts. The belt is updated every 60,000 kilometers. The chain is recommended to be changed after 200,000 kilometers. Very dynamic is the modification of Skoda with 1.9 TDI PD. The turbo diesel offers 105 horsepower. Engines with the code BSW do not have a particulate filter, unlike BLS. The problem affected diesel engines 1.4 and 1.9 TDI. Over time, a gap appeared at the landing sites of the nozzles, and fuel entered the cylinder head, which diluted the oil and accelerated the wear of moving elements. The diesel 1.6 with common rail injection system is quiet and smooth. Until 2011, it suffered from oil leaks from under the valve covers. The cap has been replaced along with the gasket. The engine is reliable but requires refueling with high-quality fuel. Otherwise, there will be problems with the nozzles. Cold nozzles are noisy. Sometimes there are malfunctions of the exhaust gas system valve. They can be caused by a failed valve flap control electronics due to a jammed so-called ratchet mechanism. After 150,000 kilometers, the cooling system pump may leak, so it is better to change it along with the timing belt. All gearboxes show good endurance. Transmission fluid leaks through the driveshaft seals are only occasionally detected. The manual transmission clutch usually runs over 150 to 200,000 kilometers. The clutch of the DSG-7 robotic box will last the same amount. The machine, subject to regular oil updates, will pass without repair at least 300,000 kilometers. The rear axle inherited the elastic beam from the first Fabia. Its silent blocks are almost eternal. Modified McPherson struts are installed on the front axle. Initially, the front levers followed the design of the first generation model. Its feature is the rear support of the lever. It was a silent block in an aluminum case mounted on a subframe. A lever pin was inserted into this support. The rear silent block was changed along with the bracket, and the front silent block was changed along with the lever. The ball joint can be replaced separately. It is fixed with 3 screws. Since March of 2008, the front suspension began to resemble the one used in the Skoda Octavia. Both silent blocks are already part of the lever and can be replaced individually. Service life has increased by about 3 times. Front and rear wheel bearings up to 150,000 kilometers rarely attract attention. Since the Skoda Fabia is mainly operated in city traffic with frequent stops, the brake discs and pads wear out relatively quickly. Fortunately, replacing them will be inexpensive. Many owners note a rather early operation of the ABS system, which sometimes, in critical situations, turns into a lack of braking distance and a collision with an obstacle. With age, there are complaints about the appearance of foci of corrosion in the area of the trunk lid, sills, doors, and wheel arches. Wind noise and moisture entering through the front door are caused by improper installation, damage, or misalignment of the door seal. In addition, over time, the seals wipe the paintwork in the doorways. Water enters through the ventilation grills. They are located under the rear lights and do not fit well to the body. The wiring in the corrugation is damaged with age, which leads to interruptions in the operation of the central lock, power windows, as well as the drive and heating of mirrors. After 100 to 150,000 kilometers, faulty wipers may require attention. If the rear mechanism is usually enough to disassemble and clean, then the front one has to be changed. Traction flies. If you know of other model malfunctions, be sure to write about it.